This is the Almost Timely newsletter for the week of August 21st, 2022. A PSA before we get started. I have been getting a lot of scammy PayPal invoices. Noticed over the last week a sharp increase in the number of these things coming from PayPal vendors. And these are legitimate emails from PayPal, in that they're from the PayPal service, but they're from vendors I've never done business with. So beware, just because somebody sends you an invoice doesn't mean you need to pay it. That's maybe causing a lot of confusion, particularly in your accounting department. So make sure that your finance team knows there's a lot of very questionable stuff happening, more so than normal, enough that it's piling up in my inbox. Make sure that you're not flinging money at people who haven't sold you anything for it. All right, so what's on my mind this week? Pigs in your marketing strategy. One of the most useful frameworks for marketing strategies and marketing campaigns is something that I call PIGS. Now, it's a derivative of a bunch of different works over the years, all the way back to E. St. Elmo Lewis's ADA framework back in, 1896, 1898. Dan Kennedy and a whole bunch of other direct marketers, Bob Stone. But PIGS is the variant that I go with, mainly because it's fun to say. If you've ever sat through any of my talks on the topic, you know how much delight I have taken just yelling PIGS repeatedly. So what is PIGS? It's an acronym. It stands for Problem, Impact, General Solution, Specific Solution. So let's talk about each of these phases in marketing and what they mean for our marketing capabilities. The first challenge that we have in marketing is the problem. Right? What is the problem that the customer has? More important, does the customer understand that they have a problem? In a lot of cases, the customer may not know that there's a problem, right? Problem awareness is one of the biggest blind spots for self-centered marketers, because we kind of assume that everybody knows what the problem is, right? Implicit in the declaration that everybody needs our products and services, right? It's the assumption that everybody has the problem we solve, and we know rationally that's not true for almost every industry, except the funeral industry, right? Yes, that's a problem. Dying is a problem that everybody eventually has. But short of that, and basic things like air and water, we need to make sure that we understand where our customer base is. Do they have a problem we solve? And how are we helping educate them about the problem itself? Here's a diagnostic. If the top of the funnel is empty or thinner than it should be, then you haven't done a good job of marketing the problem itself, right? Second challenge, the I in PIGS, is the impact. I'll be honest with you, this is an area where I and my company, Trust Insights, struggle with a lot. The customer understands the problem, but the customer doesn't understand the impact of the problem. My partner, Katie Robert, talks about this quite a bit, especially with scenario planning. What is the impact if you don't do anything, right? In our marketing communications, we have to absolutely make the case that not only is there a problem, but there's an impact. There's a material impact if you don't solve that problem, or you choose the wrong partner to solve the problem. You will hear this in really dry business boardroom lingo, MBA case studies, when everyone's presenting the business case for a project. But it's just an overcomplicated way of saying what the problem's impact is. If you can't communicate the impact, the need to solve the problem, then your marketing isn't going to work, right? No one's going to say, well, here's a problem that has no impact. I'm going to put a whole bunch of money in this, right? That doesn't happen. I run into this a lot personally with analytics, right? A lot of people understand they have a problem with their analytics. The data's bad. The systems are not set up correctly. But I personally have not done a great job of communicating the impact to these people in a way that resonates with them, right? They understand there's an impact, but they don't see how big the impact is, how problematic it is to have bad data until the problem is really, really big, and then it's too late to fix it. Right. So I will talk to potential customers who are saying, "Oh yeah, we haven't fixed our Google Analytics in 5 years, and now the CEO wants reports on this and that. And, what do we do?" I'm like, "Well, you should have talked to me 5 years ago when you had the problem first time, because it's much too late to fix it now. You can fix it going forwards, but it's not going to solve the problem you have now." So that's the challenge. Here's a diagnostic. If the number one reason you're losing business or customers is no decision, you haven't done a good job marketing the impact. When I look at the history of Trust Insights, right, we don't lose to Accenture or Deloitte. It would be nice if we were, right? Because we're bidding on like billion-dollar projects, but we lose to no decision. We lose to I'll just wait, right? Because we haven't made the impact emotionally clear. What it really boils down to. The third is the general solution, the G in PIGS. This is education, educating the customer that the problem exists, that they know what the impact is, and now that there's a solution, the problem is solvable. For example, you're hungry, right? That's the problem. You get hangry when you're hungry. That's the impact. The general solution is to eat something. Now, that's a really obvious example, right? There's going to be cases where the solution, the general way to solve the problem may not be known by the customers, and therefore the customers need education that the solution exists, right? You ever hear on like late night TV ads or like memes about late night TV, because everyone watches YouTube instead, that always have that like overblown announcer voice? "Are you tired of mowing your lawn in straight lines?" Right? That voice. And the commercial's always like 15 decibels louder than the show you're watching. You're like, whoa. But you know what I mean. That sort of, that statement, that's actually a really good general solution intro, right? Because the problem and the impact are stated implicit in that overblown voice. Are you tired of mowing your lawn in straight lines? The problem is mowing your lawn in straight lines, and the impact is you're tired of it, right? And so you're setting someone up for the general solution. That's how you market the general solution. The problem and the impact are clear, but the customer may not know that the solution exists. If the middle of your funnel is thinner than it should be, that may be a sign that you're not educating people about the solution, the general solution, not your solution specifically, but just the general solution that you can solve this problem, right? So if you understand that your analytics are broken and the impact is you're going to get your butt handed to you by the CEO, the general solution is, hey, let's fix our analytics. Let's migrate to Google Analytics 4. Right? We're not talking about a vendor or a solution of a specific company. It's just, let's make this change. The general solution is when you start after thinking about change management. How do we get people to make this change? We know what the problem is. We know there's an impact. What do we have to overcome to create motivation to accept a solution, to pursue a solution, right? And the final S in PIGS is the specific solution, us, the marketers, right? Our company, our products, our services, our people. And this is where marketers, of course, are the most comfortable, right? Because we love to talk about ourselves. But you can see with this framework that talking about ourselves is only appropriate once someone has made it through the first 3 steps, right? If somebody doesn't know that they have a problem, or they don't understand the impact or know what the pain is going to be, or they don't know that a solution in general exists, then our marketing is going to fall on deaf ears. We may as well market to our customers' pets for all the good it'll do. Now, that said, if you can't convey the benefits of your products and services as the specific solution, which provides clarity on the general solution, then you need to tune up your marketing, right? If the bottom of your funnel is thinner than it should be, that's how you know you need to work on the marketing of your specific solution, right? It's a sign that you haven't figured out. If you're losing to named competitors all the time, then you know it's a specific solution, because the customer understands the problem. The customer understands and feels the pain of the impact. They are willing, they've accepted they have to pursue a solution, and they pick somebody else, right? So you got them through the first 3 stages, but you fell down that last specific solution. That's the PIGS framework. Problem, impact, general solution, specific solution. I was talking with my martial arts teacher today about this and how a lot of the marketing around martial arts schools is so focused often about the specific solution when realistically most marketing of martial arts schools is problem focused. People don't know that they have a problem, right? Or those people who know they have a problem may not be able to even vocalize it, right? You just feel unsafe, and you're not sure, like, okay, I'm unsafe. Maybe you know the impact of living with constant anxiety. Maybe you don't. But you're not aware of the general solution, which is take martial arts so that you can help keep yourself safer, right? Everyone instead is like, oh, try this martial art for better fitness and health. Like, well, maybe that's not the problem, right? Unless you do market research, you don't know that that's the problem. Where marketers fall down is that they don't understand where in the PIGS framework the biggest issues are, right? If you go through the framework and you find that your customers are getting lost at the impact stage, but all your marketing campaigns are about the specific solution, of course you're going to see terrible results, right? You're trying to skip ahead to the end of the process. Pick our service. And the customer's like, yeah, but I don't know why I need this. Yeah, it's a problem. I don't know why I need this, right? You can see there's that massive mismatch because you're marketing to the wrong part of the framework. Your marketing campaigns, all of your marketing campaigns, should always have elements of each of the PIG stages in market. Maybe you even call them, this is the P campaign, this is the G campaign, whatever, right? You should be educating about the problem. You should be explaining the impact in your marketing and in your advertising. You should be walking through the general solution. And then the people who make it that far, that's when you can say, yes, we are the specific solution, right? And if you've done a good job of helping people without selling to them for the first 3 stages, that effort should make it you the obvious choice for the specific solution, unless like your product or service is a wildly bad fit, right? Even better, if you know where your customers are in the PIGS framework, a customer, where is this person in the framework? You can tailor your marketing messages and your communications to them for that, right? If someone's like, gosh, I don't feel like I'm in great shape. Okay, well, you kind of understand the problem, but maybe the problem isn't that. Maybe the problem is that you have a sedentary lifestyle, and the impact of that, of course, is you're going to have health issues. The general solution is get up and move around. The specific solution is come try this martial arts school, right? If you know where your customer is, you can fix the communications. You don't try and sell them a martial arts school if they're still like, am I out of shape? It's not going to be a good fit. How do you know? Ask your customers. But this is the problem that, again, marketers have a lot of problem with. Ask your customers and listen to them carefully without selling to them. Right? You're doing detective work. You're doing research. You're not eliciting a sale. Do not let sales do this, because they'll constantly be saying, they're going to be doing the old Glengarry, Glen Ross, always be closing. Like, no, you shouldn't be closing at information gathering, right? Because you don't know where the customer is. You can't close somebody who is at the problem stage. You can't close somebody at the impact stage. You can maybe close somebody at the general solution stage, but you absolutely can close somebody at the specific solution stage when they've narrowed it down to you. All of your sales efforts should be at that point, but all your marketing efforts should be getting them to that point so that you are the logical choice. And then the sale should be easy, right? I forget who said it. Somebody said, the goal of marketing is to make sales redundant, right? The goal of marketing is to make sales redundant. You cannot skip the specific solution. As much as sales and the CEO and the board want, we want more leads and more sales and all that stuff, which is true, right? You can't skip to the specific solution if the customer hasn't gone through the previous stages, any more than you can skip to being happily married for 20 years, right? Without actually living through 20 years together. You can't just skip to the end. It doesn't work. So that's the PIGS framework. Bring it into your own marketing as a diagnostic tool. It's not just a framework, it's a diagnostic tool to understand where you're falling down and how you can do better. All right, what's in the news this week? Besides, of course, the Google Analytics 4 course, so always promoting that. This week, I published our 2022 edition of the Pumpkin Spice Data Analytics. I love doing this blog post. And this year's was actually really fun because we dove into pumpkin spice squishmallows and why it was such a surprise to me that this was a thing. And it's a lot of fun. Give that a read. Also have some stuff on when to choose an agency versus a freelancer, what podcast marketing might look like in the next 5 years, how to launch your podcast, what you should do about the metaverse. Some helpful tips there. How to launch your book. In ads. So this week, Google Analytics published the Google Analytics 4 certification. So if you want to get personally certified in Google Analytics 4, that's available now from Google. I saw some really nice feedback from folks who've taken the Trust Insights course, the course that I put together with Katie, that it really helped them prepare for the exam and pass it easily. So go check out the link to the Google Analytics 4 course because as people are skilling up on the new application, the course will get you up to speed really quickly and help you pass that certification, hopefully just as easily as folks are seeing. So it was really cool to see that feedback this week. In open jobs, new stuff here we have Senior Product Manager of Identity and Devices at Disney. That sounds actually really cool. Digital Analytics Implementation Manager at Eurostar. So if you love Eurostar, they're hiring. If you don't love Eurostar, they're hiring. Web Analyst at Henry Schein. Expert Digital Analytics Analyst at HSC. Senior Digital Marketing Analyst at Valier. Digital Marketing Analyst at Sleep Cycle. Senior Manager of Data Science at Vail Resorts. That would be a fun position, right? Doing the data science on why people come ski at your resort. Talk about a great place to remote work from. Website analyst at Bloomreach. So lots of good positions there to check out. In the rest of the news this week and your stuff, TikTok stats. TikTok submitting its algorithms and processes for review to ease concerns about the government of China spying on people. So that might be useful. Big rollout of a Google update in the SEO world this week, the helpful content update. Short version, your content has to be helpful. No surprise. But it's useful to understand what's going on with those kinds of things because Google algorithms are getting to the point where they're picking up on just what regular people want, right? So SEO is much less about using keywords or headings or bold text. Bold text hasn't worked for like 15 years. And much more about, is this content the answer to what people are looking for? So worth checking that out as well, all these different articles. This week, by the way, I am doing a webinar with Site Improve, Kevin Pawlowski, the CMO. We're going to talk about exploratory data analysis. So check that out. There's a link in the newsletter for that. That's free to attend. It's going to be on the 25th. So the 25th, which means 4 more months to Christmas. Years flying by. And then we also have Content Marketing World coming up in a couple of weeks in Cleveland, Marketing Profs B2B Forum here in Boston, and HeapCon in Belgrade. So lots of road trips and I guess flights because you can't drive to Serbia from the U.S. Anyway, that's the news for this week. Thank you, as always, for your attention, for your being part of the community. I appreciate you being here. There's so many other places that you could have been right now. And I'll talk to you soon. Stay safe.